Wow, Sinatra.
Another day, another dollar I'm saving just to be broke. They say college was serious, but my degree feel like a joke. 4 years or less, I'm sane. I got it done, no playing, just to end up at my mom's after I told her I wasn't staying. Well, here we are, no question I'm a star. Just got some light years to travel, but it's just so far. But I'ma make it though, make sure you get your focus right. You coming too, it's about to be one hell of a ride. Yeah, this adults and stuff is crazy, they ain't warn us about this. I'm supposed to live my best life on an unpaid internship. How I'm supposed to find my husband? Everybody running game. I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. Went from worrying about on flow to running from Uncle Sam. Now I understand why student accounts never gave a damn. Saving accounts be slipping, trying to work out, but I'm tripping. I forgot health insurance. Oh, I'm my mom's until I'm 26, so I gotta pay these student loans. That's adulting. With the score doing the most. That's adulting. Moving out of mom's house. That's adulting, but it's all gonna work out. That's adulting. I need a legal side hustle. That's adulting, cause these bills got me in trouble. That's adulting. The journey's course is never planned. That's adulting. Just leave it in God's hands, cause that's adulting.
Hey guys, welcome to the School of Life podcast. This is my pilot episode, and I am super excited to finally roll out School of Life. So really, the purpose of this podcast is to provide a space for millennials to have the conversations that no one seems to be talking about, and to also get the tools and resources that we need to not only survive adulting, but learn how to thrive while we adult. Adulting is hard. I don't know about you, but honey, it's been some tough lessons I've had to learn that a textbook, college, a YouTube video, none of it has taught me. And so I decided there was a need for a space where we can have those conversations, uplift one another, share knowledge, share wisdom, get questions answered, and everything in between. So I'm really excited, and thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I encourage you to follow myself and the podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at _Miss Jaye. That's MISSJAYE. And you can follow School of Life at School of Life Pod, POD. You don't want to miss all the posts, all the conversations, just everything. Plus, you can always submit a question to my DM, and I will be more than happy to answer it on the podcast or directly if that's what you prefer. And I want to put a disclaimer out there. I do not proclaim to be a know-it-all, but I do my research. I try to provide resources and tools and interviews with people who do know way more than me so that we can all just figure this thing out together, honey. That's how I roll. So let's start the show. For each episode, I'm going to kick it off by providing a teachable moment from my personal life that I experienced the previous week. So last week, I received a job offer for a job that I applied to way back in March. I honestly had forgot about the job, but I know that when I applied, I was really feeling like this is it. Like, this is the one. I can do this. So super long story short, after they made the job offer, I started feeling like, wait, can I do this? Me? Like, for real, Lord, I'm going to get this. Like, boom, you came through like that. And it was nothing but fear. So all week I was dealing with some things with my current job and just a whole bunch of things going on. But the teachable moment was that fear is crippling. And when it starts to come up, am I going to curl up and let it just win? Or am I going to stand up, pray against fear, and remember who I am? So if you're dealing with any kind of fear in your life, I encourage you to stand tall and let fear know, not today, boo-boo. Not on my watch, not this house, not this job, none of that, because fear does not live in us. So that's my teachable moment. If you have one from last week, I encourage you to share with me via Twitter or Instagram. So today's lesson is the truth about adulting. Honey, take out your notebook, take out your phone, get your pencil and your pen ready because it's time to take notes. I chose this topic because when I put a poll out to my amazing Instagram supporters and followers to see what you guys wanted to hear about, a couple of the top things were understanding expectations versus reality, dealing with post grad anxiety, adjusting to adulting, and more topics along those same lines. So I figured, you know what? Let's talk about the truth about adulting because while all of those things are valid, there are some truths that are lying in those worries that we may not be talking about or we may not even realize. The biggest factor here is coming to grips with the fact that your expectation is not your reality. And the sooner you can do that, the better that life will seem to be. I know personally, yeah, my expectations for adulting and my reality are two totally different things. Like, we are in two different countries. Yeah, it's just different. And I'm sure many of you can relate. For one, I believe that we have this false sense of adulting because of either how we grew up, how we see other people living, or just what we aspire to have. And to the third point, it's nothing wrong with aspiring to want a big house, want a nice car, build generational wealth, but we don't have to rush to do those things. Like, it's not a competition and things take time. I feel that social media has made it seem like everybody woke up today and they got millions in the bank, or they woke up today and they got their life figured out. And that's just not the case. I mean, not for me. I don't know about you. Are you a millionaire? If you are, sis, cash out me some coins because share the wealth. No, but seriously, none of us have it figured out. And I think because we have grown up in this social media culture where people make it seem like they do, and maybe not intentionally, but they make it seem like it do, our expectations become distorted. Like, oh, I went to college. I'm supposed to graduate in 4 years. The Lord may be like, sit down. I need you here for 5. I need you here for 6. There are some lessons you need to learn. There are more lives you may change along this journey. And so when we remove that way of thinking, of comparing ourselves and being focused on other people's assignments, our reality can seem our reality can line up with our expectations because we're not living with the expectation that we're going to get the same blessings that someone else has. And that's just a truth of the matter. Like, the reality is what I have is for me, just like what you have is for you. And the sooner we kind of get that programmed in our hearts and in our minds, it makes it easier for that reality and those expectations to really just be one. And one thing that I personally learned as I reflect on this topic is that when I realized that I had to get down to my own truth about adulting, woo, it made things a lot better. And so you may be wondering, well, Jay, how do I get down to my own truth? Really, it starts with you. And I don't know if you've ever sat and thought about, like, what is my adulting truth? What is my life truth? Like, what am I doing? Why do I have these expectations? What's going right? What's going wrong? Personally, my truth happened when I came face to face with my own insecurities, when I forgave people that hurt me, and when I learned to love myself. And when I say love myself, I mean all of me, the raggedy areas, the perfect areas. Well, no area is perfect, but the areas that are close to perfect as they can be, the areas that are kind of raggedy, kind of perfect, just everything. When I did those 3 things, coming face to face with my insecurities, forgiving people who hurt me, and loving all of me, I'm telling you, life changed. It was like I had an awakening and I loved it. Reflecting back now, I'm like, wow, I really had a lot of growing to do that has gotten me here. And so all of those things that I did helped my reality and my expectations be more in line with one another. Because when I came face to face with my own insecurities, I realized I was comparing myself to other people. I wasn't happy with the things that God had blessed me with. Why? I don't know, because I've had a blessed, filled life. Other people look at my life like, oh my God, you got it together. And that's not the case. And that's one thing where we always make that mistake. Like, we're looking at somebody else's life, somebody looking at our life. If everybody just focused on their own lives and their own blessings, the world would be a better place. But no, seriously, understanding why your reality and your expectations are so different starts with the person in the mirror. Like, what truths do you need to come to grips with about yourself? Are you selfish? Do you give too easily? Are you heartbroken and you haven't forgiven? Do you have your own insecurities? And I promise, when you come to that reality of your own self and that truth of your own self, you'll feel like a weight is lifted, because you walk with so much more authority and so much more self-confidence. I know that's what happened for me, and I'm a strong believer. If it can happen for me, it can happen for anyone. So my false sense of adulting was rooted in those insecurities and rooted in unforgiveness and in a broken heart, and it is so many more painful areas that I had to deal with, and truthfully, I'm still dealing with. So today, I'm able to say my adulting truth is that I'm healing. I'm an amazing person. Like, I'm the bomb.com. Like, no one can tell me different. And I hope you feel the same way about yourself. But with that, I'm still putting some pieces together of my life and of my childhood. And because I recognize that I can take whatever comes my way with faith and with joy, because I know who I am as a person, and I know that God has given me the strength and the power and authority to not only be this amazing person now, but be this amazing person forever. So I am not focused on what my reality is, because I already know His plan is greater. And that leads me to my first truth about adulting. So after we figure our lives out and maybe have a cry session and get a journal and write it all out, there are some truths about adulting as a whole that we should come to grips with. The first one I want to share is that no one has it all figured out. I see so many people upset, depressed, stressed, because we're comparing ourselves to who we see on social media, who we see in public, just everywhere, thinking, oh, they have it all figured out. They got this nice job. They just bought them a new car. Them and they boo always taking vacations. Focus on you. And when you focus on you, learn to give yourself some grace. Don't be so hard on yourselves. I know so many people who are just so freaking hard on themselves because they don't have what everyone else has. Remember, it's not about everyone else. It's about you and your journey and the life and plan that God has for you. So, okay, you make a mistake. Give yourself a little grace. God does it for us. Why can't we do it for ourselves? Remove yourself from the emotional aspect of, I gotta have it all figured out. I don't have this. I don't have that. I'm just nobody. I'm a nothing. That is not the case, honey. Get in that mirror and speak positivity over your life. Get in the mirror and remind yourself who you are. Like, youthabomb.com. Get it together. That's what giving yourself grace is. I know I struggled with that for a little bit because I'm a perfectionist. I'll let y'all know. I'm a perfectionist. I like things my way. And that's just not how life goes. Like, that's just not how it's going to be, Jay. I had to come to that realization. And when I learned to give myself some grace, I was less stressed. I was happier, because people make mistakes. People have their own journeys. And that is why you have your own life, because it's your life. Is your journey. So learn to give yourself some grace. You'll feel a lot better about really everything. Just because you're not doing what they doing, don't mean you're doing something wrong. None of us are perfect. None of us have A through Z figured out in our lives. None of us ever will. That's just not how life goes. And with that, I think it's important to know your own strengths in life, because when you know what you're good at and what you can bring to the table and what your purpose is, you're so focused on that thing that you don't have time to look up and compare what you're doing to what someone else is doing, because the truth of the matter is no one has it all figured out. So stop playing the comparison game. You're losing sleep, your hair turning gray, you're losing weight, and it's not healthy for you at all. So, the first truth, no one has it all figured out. The second truth, celebrating your wins are important, especially the small ones. I don't know about you, but when I learned to celebrate myself for the small wins, or what people may call small wins, honey, my life just became better. So many times we see people only celebrating the big stuff, like, oh, I got the promotion, oh, I got the car, oh, I'm vacationing. And I keep saying those three things because those are like the main things that people share. And there's nothing wrong with sharing, don't get me wrong, but those are the main things that people post and kind of brag about. But celebrate the small things. Stop thinking, oh, because I don't have a new job, my adult life is just sucky and I'm not contributing anything. That's not true. You guys at work on time? Honey, I need a drink of wine to celebrate that. I'll toast to that. You cut the grass. For the men out there, you should be cutting the grass. But ladies, if you cut the grass and you ain't need no help, that's a small win. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but the small things matter too, because if you don't celebrate the small things, you will get so busy thinking that you can only celebrate the big things and that you have to be so focused on the big things, when the truth is that every win matters. I'm telling you, I celebrate any win, small, medium, large, extra large. I'm going to celebrate it, because I used to only focus on the big things. I was so busy and so worried about the grand picture that I'm missing the small little strokes in the painting that should be celebrated as well. Oh, I like that analogy. I didn't even write that one down. So the second truth, celebrating your wins are important. The third one, and y'all gonna love this one, I know you are. Mental health is the root of all success. Period. Okay? I'm not a city girl, but I like when they say period. I'm gonna repeat that. Mental health is the root of all success. Think about it. When your mental health is kind of out of whack or just not right, or you're going crazy, you're not doing much of nothing to be a productive citizen, a productive friend, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, nothing. Everything starts in your mind. And I know a lot of us are dealing with some traumas and some hurts and some pains that we don't even talk about. But I promise you, I am a living testimony. When you get your mental health intact, so much more positivity will flow from your body. And I'm not talking about a spa date or none of that. I'm talking about some true mental health, seeing a counselor, picking up a new hobby, taking a sick day from work. Like, these are things that truly help your mind rejuvenate and reset. And don't get me wrong, a spa day is really nice. Like, I love a spa. I love to get a mani-pedi. But when it's time for me to take care of my mental health on a deeper level, honey, I need more than a back rub. Like, I need a therapist. I need to do something different. I need to stimulate my mind with something new. I need to just take a day from work and breathe, walk outside, walk the dog if you have a dog. Just something that's, well, walking a dog is a daily thing. Something else. But you get what I'm saying. Do something that is going to help you just relax. Write in a journal. I love journaling. It really helps me decompress from what I'm going through. Two podcasts that I would highly recommend that focus on mental health are Therapy for Black Girls and The Refill. They are amazing. The women who host those podcasts are down to earth and very real, and they talk about some things that have really helped me put my own life into perspective. And I'll be sure to tag them in the show notes as well. So, the third truth about adulting: mental health is the root of success, period. Okay? The fourth truth is that this is a journey and you are not the driver. Mm, let that sit. I'm going to repeat it for you. This is a journey, but you are not the driver. Well, who's the driver then, Jay? The Lord. Okay? Honey, when I came to grips with this hard lesson, my life got a lot better, like 100%, 1,000%. It just got so much better. We all know that life is a journey and not a destination. We've heard that before. And for the most part, I mean, I like to think that we're living in that truth. But there's a second part of that. Life is a journey, but we're not the one driving this car down this road. When I was planning this episode, I was like, okay, Lord, I got a good point, but I need something to back it up. Like, I want to be sure I give my people some biblical references, a book, something. And I was instantly reminded of a series that Pastor Mike Todd did at Transformation Church in Oklahoma. By the way, if I ever live there, like, he has a faithful member already. But he did a series called Marked. And throughout this series, he talked about David's life. And there was one particular point that stood out that's relevant to life being a journey and God being our driver. David wasn't even invited to the party when God anointed him. He was out in the field tending to his sheep, doing what God had told him to do initially. And that was so important to me because although David was being anointed as a king, as the king rather, he was tending to the sheep. And he could have easily been like, oh, I'm a king now. I ain't tending to these funky sheep. But tending to the sheep was a part of his journey. Had David been cocky and wanted to jump to the throne before it was his time, he would have missed some very, very valuable lessons. And it's all because God was driving that plan all along. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been times in my life where I thought I was a driver, crashed, burned, set fire to the whole thing. That was a hot mess. All the times I thought I was in control. But as soon as I came to the realization that, hey, every step of this life that I'm living is a part of my journey, and I'm going to trust my driver. When you get in the car with your boo, you don't be checking for him, making sure he making the right turns and making sure he knows it's a red light coming up and making sure that he go the way you want him to go or she wants you to go. When I get in the car with my boo, I just trust that he know where he going, period. And so it should be the same thing with life and how we reverence God as our drivers. Just like David was like, okay, I'm the king, but I got to work in the pasture for a little bit longer. Got you, God. You in control of this whole thing. And that was that on that. So let's recap. The four truths of adulting is that one, no one has it all figured out, so give yourself some grace. Two, celebrating your wins are important, especially the small ones. Big emphasis on the small ones. Three, mental health is the root of success. We can't do nothing if our minds is not together. And four, this is a journey, but you are not the driver. So, in this upcoming week, I want to challenge you to do two things. Well, really just, yeah, two things. Think of this as your homework. And yeah, I'm going to be giving you homework every week. So, go ahead and get ready. One, take a minute and think. Are you living in your own adulting truth? So, remember, mine came about when I dealt with a lot of things personally and I came to grips with who I was as a person and just me as a being. Are you stressed? Are you trying to figure this thing out on your own? Are you trying to live a perfect life? Like, what is your adulting truth? And two, do something this week that celebrates your truth. Celebrate a small win. Do a mental health check in. Get in tune with the driver of your car, the Lord. For example, maybe to celebrate a small win, you set goals for the week. It can be as simple as you want to meal prep. And you want to meal prep 5 days out of the week, and you meal prep 3 days out of the week. That's still a win. Because guess what, sis? I ain't meal prepping no days of the week. So you doing something better than me, if that makes you feel better. But really, celebrate the small things. Or if you have to have a mental health check in, have an accountability partner. Let your mom, sister, brother, boo, whoever know, hey, I need to have a mental health check in. Can we talk about XYZ? I want to just get these things off my chest. Or buy you a journal and start journaling. I'm telling you, journaling changed my life. A lot of things clearly changed my life, but journaling definitely. Or if you want to get in tune with your driver, who is God, spend time reading his word. Start one of the Bible apps. One of the Bible app plans. Those are really, really great. I personally like reading my Bible, but there's nothing wrong with the Bible app if that's your thing. Like, the Bible is the Bible. But the plans are really, really great, and they have some amazing practical tips and resources for all of us. So, I really hope that you have gained some kind of new insight, a new thought, just anything that will help you live your best adult life. I'm going to leave you all with some food for thought. Adulting is one long growing pain. So you better get used to being uncomfortable, because if you're growing nowhere, you'll stay the same. And I made that up all by myself. Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode of the School of Life podcast. Join the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at School of Life Pod. And don't forget, you can always submit questions via my DMs on Twitter or Instagram, or you can email me at schooloflifepod@gmail.com. I can't wait to get your questions and answer them on the podcast. I'll talk to y'all next week.